name is Shahriar Afshar, President of the Iranian-American Democrats of San Diego. Welcome to this evening's event. We're here with San Diego County Chairperson Supervisor Nathan Fletcher, and other members of our club and guests. We'd like to take some time to listen to the chair. I'm not going to go through introducing the chair because his reputation really precedes him. He's just been a wonderful pillar of the community. He's been a friend to the Iranian-American community. Many of us remember him at the Persian Cultural Center dinner a couple of years ago, pre-COVID. It was wonderful to share that evening with him and his lovely wife, Assemblymember Lorena Gonzalez, and also continue to be in conversations with him on areas that are important to our community. So tonight he's here and he has till just 6:30 sharp to tell us about some of his priorities and most importantly, the county's COVID response. Towards the end, maybe at 6:25, we want to take a break and stop and see if we can ask some questions, but he has to leave at 6:30, so I ask everyone to respect that time. So with that, I will turn it over to County Chair Nathan Fletcher.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's to join you all. I think if it's okay, I'll just do a little shorter on the remarks and then we'll do more time for Q&A. Really love to hear from all of you and kind of what's on your mind and what's happening. I will tell you quickly on COVID, we are finally feel like we're turning a corner. Our cases are down, our vaccinations are up, and we feel like we're really beginning to make progress. It's been a long year. We've had to make a lot of really difficult decisions in an attempt to save lives, to protect public health, to really trust and rely on the science and data. But I know it's been very, very taxing and very hard on all aspects of our community, folks with underlying health conditions, folks without access to healthcare, communities that have been disproportionately impacted. I know it's also been hard on parents. You know, my wife and I between us, we have 5 kids. Our 3 little ones are still in school age, and they have not gone back in the classroom since last year, since March. And so we are hopeful and optimistic. I said in the state of the county, we are a resilient people. We are resilient. We are still here in the fight against COVID, and we're ready to rise. And I think when I say we're ready to rise, it's not back to normal. We want to be much better than that. We need to come back in a way that really addresses the inequities that COVID has shown us. This is the most unequal recession in our history. Working class folks and service workers have been disproportionately hit hard. We also know that communities that don't have the same access to healthcare, despite being one of the wealthiest nations on the world, we still do not provide quality healthcare to all. And we have to fix that because that has shown us so many of the problems and challenges here. And so I'm very committed to getting to work to help tackle all of those issues as we move forward in the future. And I will tell you, as Democrats, it's a great time in San Diego County to be a Democrat. 2 years ago when I came before you as a candidate, it was an all 5 Republican board. And I said, look, we can break through this red wall. I said, but I need your help and support. And they spent millions of dollars trying to knock me out of that race. And we all held firm and we won an overwhelming victory. And I said then, we can actually take the majority. And I believe we could do it in 2020. And in 2020, we came together. We elected Nora Vargas in South Bay, a tremendous leader who's doing a great job. And then we took out an incumbent, and very hard to do in politics. And Tara Lawson-Remer won that seat. And now I come to you tonight as the chair of the County Board of Supervisors, the Democratic chair, elected by a majority of the board, which tells you that change is possible. And it tells you if we believe and we work hard and we organize and we have good ideas, that we can do it. And already, I mean, we got to work. Climate change is real. Policies to aggressively move towards a zero carbon economy, 100% renewable energy, not me. We moved to declare racism a public health crisis, not in a performative way, but in a substantive way, transforming what we do to make sure that we are addressing those inequities. We're trying to open up and change the culture of our county government, get more people engaged in here, and we really progressive direction. Commitment to workers, our commitment to organized labor, our commitment to mental health and drug treatment services, our commitment to our children, our commitment to our climate and our environment, and what all of that means and where we want to go. And so I'm just incredibly excited about where we're going and what's happening. And I'll just tell you tonight, now I'm up for re-election, and we've got all the forces of the world are united against trying to knock us out. We got the people collect call and all the party stuff. And so, I'm here tonight to humbly ask for your endorsement, both individually and as an organization, for consideration for your endorsement, respectively, for my re-election campaign. We got a lot of work left to do, and we got to take care of business in our race in 2022. Continue a lot of the work that we're doing, and I'm just thrilled to join you. We do have a long history. I am so proud of our Iranian-American Democratic Club. But as I've shared with many of you over so many years, I have great appreciation for the Persian culture and for community and what it means. I've been fortunate to live in the Middle East for significant parts of my time, and I know our diversity makes us strong. And I also know, what this community in particular means to San Diego, and what it brings and what it adds. So much history, so much culture, so much commitment to what we are doing here. And so I'm just thrilled to join you and be here at this moment where we got a new president, we got a new Senate, we got a new County Board of Supervisors, and we're really moving forward to try and work hard and really make a substantive difference and impact. So I'm excited about what's ahead of us. I'm excited about where we're going as Democrats, and just really thrilled, ready to lean into our re-election campaign, and let's knock this out, and let's keep winning races. But you win the race in order to get in a position to move the policy. And that's what we are doing, to try and make this a county that is on that path to a more perfect union, that is more equitable and more fair and more just, with more opportunities. Because that is, the essence of the American dream is equality of opportunity. It's not equality of outcome, but it's equality of access, which means investing in public education. It means investing in healthcare for all. It means making sure that people who work hard get a fair shake and are treated fairly, that we have an economy that enables the middle class and people to really work up and rise up. So super excited to join you this evening, and appreciate what all of you do on an ongoing basis, and just much appreciation and respect for everything you're doing. And would love to just really hear from you. What's on your mind? What questions do you have? What suggestions do you have? What ideas? What complaints you got? Whatever it is, it's all good.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to share a personal story. Sometimes a lot of people that come to these clubs, they're political observers. They're not really participants. And I just wanted to say, the chair is a very, very smart policymaker. And I also know he hires good people, because I hired one of his former staff, Patrick Buteller. So I know he hires smart people. So he's got smart people around him. So that means that good professional public servants, that's how they're made. That's how they're not just kind of on TV, but they're really roll up their sleeves. And Nathan Fletcher has done that all the time. He was in the assembly, and now that, thank God, he's in the county, flipping the county, which is unheard of, really unheard of. We never thought this day would come. But I think you sit there, Chair, in one of the most pivotal positions in our region, even before COVID. But now that COVID hit, now you're at the intersection of one of the most important events of our generation. So having taken the vaccine and gone to one of those health clinics, because my son's special needs, we benefit from the regional centers, work with special needs families. So as caregivers, they allowed us to take the vaccine. As a participant, I want to say I went through the first dose, couldn't have been smoother. No lines, professional. We went in and out, and it was just a very pleasant experience. And usually vaccines are not very pleasant, but the whole thing was very pleasant. And it's a credit to the county's leadership and yours to get us here. Now we're trying to communicate with our community, and I have heard rumblings of people that distrust the vaccine. Is there anything more that we can do to obviously instill trust in our own community? And how
that is a great question. The vaccine, I mean, it's interesting. We have this fragmented, disjointed healthcare system, primarily profit-driven, and it makes it very hard to do this. And then we had the previous federal administration kind of had this very bizarre where they sent them and how they sent them, and it made it very hard to try and coordinate that. But, at a point last year where we had not received a dime of federal funding to help plan or execute, we just set aside $100 million and said, we're going to build out the infrastructure. And we built out now 5, I believe 6 super stations, 15 plus community points of distribution. And we know that the supply is holding us back. We could do twice as many vaccines each day as we're doing. We don't have enough vaccines, but we have, and San Diegans should take pride in this. We have done more vaccines per person than any county in the state of California, because we made an intentional effort to get in early, because we know that vaccine can save a life, especially with our seniors and folks with underlying health conditions. And we're now approaching almost 70% of our seniors have been vaccinated. Next week, we're going to open it up to teachers. We got to get our kids back in school, first responders, and food and ag. So we're continuing to go on. But your point is well taken about vaccine hesitancy. And I think we did a poll, and the overwhelming majority of San Diegans want the vaccine, and that's good. But you do see these pockets, and these pockets of resistance. Now, some of the resistance to the vaccine is folks who are kind of ideological Trumpers, anti-vaxxers. I got in a Twitter argument one day with Rob Schneider, the actor, and I'm like, I'm literally arguing on Twitter with Deuce Bigalow, Mayo Bigelow, like. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I'm like, why do you listen to that guy? And those folks you're not ever going to convince. And they think COVID was this conspiracy concocted by the pharmaceutical. I mean, it's just nonsense. But where you do have legitimate concerns is in isolated pockets and communities where people are generally fearful of at times government, and sometimes come from places where that is rooted in legitimacy. Sometimes you have, like in the African-American community, for example, our country has a very dark history of experimenting on African-Americans. You can read all about the Tuskegee syphilis incidents. African-Americans have syphilis. They had a cure for it. They didn't give them the cure because they wanted to study them. And so we do see those pockets. And so in those areas, we have a pretty robust public education campaign led by doctors and led by medical experts. And sometimes it's walking people through very real concerns. We hear a lot from folks who say, well, it was rushed. And I don't trust it because it was rushed. Well, when you walk them through, in a normal vaccine development, you have a series of 5 things that you need to do independent from one another. In a normal vaccine, you do those sequentially because they don't have enough to do 1, and then if 1 works, then they do 2, and if 2 works, they do 3. But because of COVID was so devastating, they had the funding to do those 5 things simultaneously. But they still did all the 5 things. They just did them faster than they've ever done. And so when you tell folks that, they go, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then when they hear from people, the other thing is we started vaccinating into last year, and we're now into February, and we haven't seen any kind of significant adverse effects. It doesn't mean there's no adverse effects, but we haven't seen anything of any significance. And, it's worth noting, we just remembered the moment where 500,000 Americans died from COVID. And so that tells you COVID is real, and so we need vaccines. And so there are a lot of those efforts that are out and are being done, trying to do them in the right way. And then the other thing is there's a little bit of, once you get over the safety concerns, some people are just like, well, I don't know. And then it's like, well, do you want your kids to go back to school? You want to get our economy back? Well, we got to get the vaccine. And I go, okay, I'll do it. And then the last point is we have to take intentional efforts to reach those harder to reach communities. And we're doing that. We've got teams of community health workers that are going out into the community, finding hard to reach people. We've got phone lines. If a senior doesn't have a computer, they can call. We'll make the appointment. If they don't have transportation, we'll go pick them up and take them. If they can't leave their home, we'll go to their home and back. Whole series of programs around those. And I think the combination of all of those efforts, along with increased supply, I think we'll get to where we need to get to in terms of folks getting the vaccine. And the combination of that plus folks that have already had COVID can get us out of this.
Sure. Thank you. And we share your support, and we're going to continue to press on our community to get vaccinated. And I know Iranians are very charitable folks, so they're going to help their seniors, their family members, their neighbors to get vaccinated. I have a couple of questions. Maz, we're going to go to you, and then we're going to go to, you can ask your question briefly, and then we're going to go to, I think, Brandon.
Hello, can you hear me?
I got you.
Hi, Supervisor Fletcher. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad to hear that you've made healthcare one of your top priorities. My question may sound a little national in nature, but I'm going to try to bring it home to local, and that is about the uninsured rate. I don't know if my latest numbers are correct, but in the county we have 270,000 at least uninsured, and the number of underinsured is always greater than that. Those are people who have insurance but can't afford their out-of-pocket expenses, and that's something that hurts all of us, both financially and in a pandemic situation where they might spread the disease. So we know that Republicans have no interest in bettering the situation, and they want. But with Democrats, my fear is that a lot of about very tiny cosmetic incrementalism, and what I want to hear from you is what I want to find out is what can you do as a supervisor to join the chorus of people demanding care and an end to this price gouging that's going on in this country, where I don't think I'll need to remind you about all the disparities we have and how much more than our international peers we're paying per capita, per GDP, for any metric that you look at. So what can you do at the county level to better that situation?
Well, pre-COVID, I supported a universal single-payer healthcare system. Medicare for all is, and I fervently supported that because of all of the things you just outlined. One, access to healthcare is a universal basic human right. It is a universal basic human right, just like people have access to clean water and clean air. They ought to have access to quality healthcare. And all of the stats you did are right. Why we do it. We spend more as a country than any other industrialized country in the world by far, and we do it for far worse outcomes. We do it for worse health outcomes, and we do it for worse financial outcomes. Look at the number of people that are bankrupt. People that have to choose, do I eat or do I provide medication for my family? And that is insane. Broken, it's fragmented, it's disjointed, it's motivated by profit instead of care. And I think if you don't come out of COVID and agree there has to be fundamental, not tinkering, fundamental structural change to our healthcare system, then you haven't been paying attention during COVID. And you haven't looked at how a global public pandemic has really exacerbated those inequities and who has access to care and who's connected to it. And look at it in vaccine right now. We are killing ourselves above and beyond. I was just on a call late last night. We were talking about underlying health conditions. They said, well, we're going to have people who aren't in the health system. They have underlying health conditions at a far greater rate than people who are. So how do we reach those folks? And so I think we have to join the chorus calling for this fundamental change. And, people say, well, that would never work. Well, you know what? I was in the military. I'm in the VA system. It works great there. It works great there. Of course it can work. We can look at any number of countries around the world that have done it far long ago. And so I think we have to join that chorus. And, I'll do what I can at the county to get people signed up in the exchange or make Medi-Cal more accessible or more available. And I know the state's going to push. But ultimately, this comes down to our federal government acknowledging and understanding what I believe is obvious, and that it has to fundamentally change. Every American should have access into quality healthcare. And I think that it ought to be a universal single-payer type system. And I really hope that we get there because we just can't afford to wait. And God help us if we don't change it and we have to go through another pandemic with these problems. But it's not even about the pandemic. It's just about the basic human dignity and decency about us doing the right thing. And, who makes your cell phone? That can be profit-based. That's fine. But who provides life-saving care ought not be.
Yeah.
And we would get better outcomes. It would cost us less, and we would live longer and healthier lives by making this change. And it's just past time that we embrace it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon, your question, and then Amira.
Sorry, my question was answered, but thank you so much for being here, Chairman.
Thank you, Brandon. That's a good-looking dog you got there, Brandon.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
I've attended several of your meetings in the last few months. Every time you have been someplace, I guess I got online. We do have a couple of questions from our people, our members that haven't been able to join us tonight. One is, it has nothing to do with COVID, so relax. It has nothing to do with environmental, so relax on that one. She wants to know, she's hurting because of the property taxes on her property, and she was asking whether you are going to consider capping property taxes for fixed income senior citizens.
Yeah, we did that in the 70s. We passed Prop 13, which limits the increase in property taxes to 2% each year.
But there's no cap that they're not gonna.
That happened well before I was involved. But yes, we have done that.
But there's not going to be any cap where there won't be any increases, because even at 2% at the prices right now, it still is pretty high for if you're on a fixed income.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think we have the most stringent cap in the entire country on property taxes anywhere in the world. I supported split roll. I think we got to break this thing apart. I'd keep the protections on residents, but you got businesses that have been exploiting the system. Disneyland, their ticket prices have gone up 2,000%. Their property tax hasn't gone up at all, and so we got a lot of people exploiting that. But we do have, I think, the most stringent protections on property tax increases in the entire country.
Which is 2%.
Now, if you sell your house and you buy a new one, then you got to pay it at the value.
But
if you
I got it.
Existing one, it's a very modest change, and you can get reassessed. If somehow property values go down, you can get reassessed lower, but it never climbs at more than 2%.
Well, that's what the reassessment does. And she probably bought the property when she was younger, and now she's on fixed income, and they keep reassessing and
But it doesn't go up consistent with the value of the home. Once you buy it, it's locked in at the cost when you bought it, and you can only have this very modest 2% increase.
And then the second question, thank you for that. The second question is, are you currently using the disaster funds? I guess she used to work for county. She knows all these things. I don't. Are you using the money assigned to disaster funds?
Yeah, we've used, probably $300-400 million. Everything we've got in disaster funds to get out and help people.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. Mahmoud, is your question.
Mr. Fletcher, thank you very much for joining us. Follow up on the Moz question. Any plan for taking care of the homeless, vaccine, and the situation that they have?
Yeah, we've already started vaccinating folks in the convention center. And we've also made the other vaccine sites available, and we're going to continue to set up community pods. A lot of our homeless have a lot of underlying health conditions. Many of them are seniors, or they have a kind of health age that's a little different than their biological age. And so we're going to continue those efforts as we get more supply to be able to get on. We have a lot of mobile teams that started going to skilled nursing facilities. Every skilled nursing facility or long-term care facility, they've been vaccinated. Now we're going to turn some of those into our hardest to reach communities in order to help those. We're going to help with farm workers, and then I think those same teams will be available to try and help our unsheltered San Diegans who are out on the streets. But the folks in congregate care settings we're doing, and then we'll be expanding that to make it available to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahmoud. Any other questions from the gallery? So I have a follow-up question on the vaccine experience, and I just wanted to share with the club, but also I wanted to get the chair's advice. So when you go to that county website to schedule a vaccine, you have to be kind of persistent, right? Because the appointments are kind of not readily available. You have to keep checking. It's kind of fluid. You don't always know, especially the second dose. So are there any suggestions you may have on that process to schedule the vaccines, other than going to that website and just keep clicking refresh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the frustration is really derived based on the supply versus the demand. So right now, if you're a senior, 65 and older, we have open appointments. They're not all being filled, and so you can get them. And, you know, we're going to keep living in this kind of boom bust world. On Monday, when we open up these new tiers, then there will be more people that want them than they are available. And so we just need folks to be patient. I mean, you know, we're going as fast as we can. Healthcare providers have some vaccines, so some of those are doing them. Some pharmacies have them. There's a lot of, again, to the point earlier, this fragmented, disjointed nature, a lot of entities get them, and we don't have complete control over how they make them available. But we have built out this robust system of public sites, and we make those appointments available online. But we also hold back some for seniors who don't have a computer. They call 211, someone will talk to you, schedule you. We hold back some for community groups going into the community to reach harder to reach folks. And so, you know, I think we're going to keep going in some of these cycles as we open up a new tier. It'll feel impossible to get a vaccine. But if you're a senior tonight and you're trying to get one, there are plenty that are open and available, which is when we see slack in the system like that, that's when we open up the next tier.
Thank you. One last question about school reopenings. I know maybe you can elaborate on how that works. I know school districts follow county guidelines and CDC. How do they decide?
No, it's pretty much it's all under state guidelines. And schools, elementary schools could be open today. We're about to be in the red tier within a week or two, couple weeks, I believe, if we continue on our trajectory, which means all K-12 can open. So it really is up to the individual school district to work out a deal with their teachers to get it going. San Diego Unified today, the largest school district, announced that they reached an agreement, provided we can get them all vaccinated and we're in the red tier. They're looking at a second week of April to be open K-12. And I think a lot of our schools will now, the vaccines here, will have similar plans and trajectories. So I'm very optimistic that we will get that. The majority of our schools open in April, but again, it's up to the districts. They got to negotiate with their bargaining units and their teachers what the conditions are and how they're going to do it. We've been very supportive of that effort, and we're certainly going to prioritize, getting our school personnel vaccinated, because we know we got to get our kids back in class.
But since we got
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Go ahead.
Thank you for being here, Chairman Fletcher. And I listened to your State of the County address, and I applaud all the progressive stands that you've taken. This is quite a change from the last 40 years of what we've had with the Republicans. My question is regarding the cooperation between the county and the city of San Diego. Again, that's an area that we've not had good cooperation during the rule of the Republicans. Please tell us what we should expect now that we have the majority of Democrats.
Yeah, thank you, Maury, and thank you for reaching out and helping connect us tonight. I appreciate that. Look, the city and the county have always butted heads, even when they were all Republicans. They just, because they didn't want to do anything, so it was easier to blame the other person. And now we're entering an era where Todd Gloria is our mayor. I fully supported Todd. I've known Todd for 20 years. We're friends. We're working together. I talk to him probably every day. And we got to get our city and our county moving together. And think about this, Maury. We get our city and our county moving together. We got our state government. I'm very close with our governor, Gavin Newsom. talk to him a lot. We got great legislative leaders, and Tony Atkins, the president of the Senate. We got this member of the Assembly who I'm very fond of. She's beautiful. I live with her. She's my wife, Lorena Gonzalez. We got our federal government. We got Alex Padilla in the Senate, Kamala Harris, vice president. We got that great congressional delegation here locally. New members, Sarah Jacobs and Mike Levin, and Scott Peters, Juan Vargas. We got a good crew. And I think we're in for a really good decade here in San Diego County with all of these entities moving forward. We just got to keep it going. Now's not the time we rest. Now's the time we keep pressing ahead. We got to go win more races. We got to support more local elected officials, and we got to drive policies that make a difference. And so I'm excited. I'm motivated. We're gonna run hard into our reelection. Hope you all will consider helping us. Makana, who's on the call with us here, is heading up my political efforts, and he'll share some info in the chat. We'd be honored to have your individual endorsement and your group and organization endorsement. And we're just going to keep plowing ahead. City, county, state, feds, Democrats, all moving together, not just to win races, but to win races so we can transform policies which are going to improve people's lives. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to join you all tonight, and wish you all the best, and want you all to stay in touch with our office and let us know what you need, what you see, what you hear, what we can help on. If you think we're messing up, we're always here to make sure we're serving you.
Thank you, Chair, for a great event. Thank you for your leadership. We will stay engaged with your office, and we will support you, individuals at least, until organizationally we figure out how to endorse candidates. But we will most certainly individually do it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.